This episode is brought to you in partnership with Forex.com, a leading provider of online trading services. Remember, trading Forex and CFDs carries risk and isn't suitable for everyone.
I knew nothing about trading. My introduction to trading came, I was down in Benoose and I met some guys, Ferraris, yachts, flash. Well, what do you guys do? He says, oh, we're opening a trading floor in Gibraltar with traders. I mean, I'm sold, how do I do that? And that was it. It went brilliant for the first 3 months and then I blew the lot. Yeah, it was a baptism of fire, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's...
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Two Blokes Trading. Today's guest is a trader who's lived both sides of the screen, from risk managing pros on the trading floor to trading real size with his own capital. Steve Ruffley is the author of The Pro Retail Trader and a guy who believes most retail traders lose, not because they're wrong, but because they're too late, too small, and too scattered.
Everyone's your best friend when you want to get your limits up. When you tap them on the shoulder or give them a call, it's like, it's always bad news, mate. It's always bad news. 4 or 5 years into your trading journey. This is how long it takes, you know what I mean? Even at a kind of a pro level to kind of figure out what you want. People always say when you're on the floor, like, what did you learn from the traders? They don't tell you anything. They don't give away the secrets. It's almost like some Stockholm syndrome. Anyone involved in the markets now can make markets move just like that. Trump can come out and say anything he wants at any minute of the day. Stock market can sell off in the morning, then rebounds in the afternoon. My quickest trade of this month has been 12 seconds. So, $5,000 in 12 seconds. That is pro level. I trade it. If I don't, turn the screens off, go away. I only trade to make money. Best thing you can do as a trader is to be able to admit you're wrong and just walk away or come back. Don't revenge trade. Even if it works, it's going to kill you in the long run.
In this episode, we dive into the mindset, structure, and discipline it takes to be a pro. This one's not to be missed. Steve, welcome to Two Blokes Trading.
Thank you.
How are you?
How are you doing? I'm good, mate.
Good.
I'm good.
Good. We had a good chat before the podcast started as well. I said to you already that I know this is going to be a good one. But tell me, you've been in the markets for over 20 years at this stage. Is that right?
It is. I'm not old.
It's a long time, buddy. That you don't.
Long time, man. There's a lot of work gone into this face.
I can see a wrinkle for every year, yeah. But
I tell you, every time I look in the mirror, I look more like my dad. Good pressure is that.
Young at heart, mate. That's the main thing, right? So tell me, you worked on the floors, right? It all started in institutional level, or tell me, was it before then? Were you kind of into any kind of trading before you got to that level?
I knew nothing about trading, really, to be honest, before I got involved in trading. One of my first jobs was a graduate position for PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is funny because I never got a degree. Went to uni for a couple of weeks and was studying, I don't know, some bullshit thing, international business studies. And I talked to the guy that was meant to be teaching it, and he just said like a complete nobody. It's like, you'll never get a job without a degree. And I'm like, spending 3 years doing this, I didn't buy it. So when I got a graduate job anyway, that was placing like kind of, investments. It was an admin job essentially, for high net worth individuals. So kind of like back office stuff. And that was my kind of first introduction into kind of financials. You see the checks and, the commission checks and the amounts invested. That kind of pinged my interest. That was it. And basically, they closed the office down and kind of relocated and said you can either take some redundancy or move to Birmingham or something. So I took the money and coincidentally, my parents had moved to Gibraltar. So I thought I'd just go out to Gibraltar for a bit and, live there, get a bit of sun, had a bit of cash in a little back pocket. And my introduction to trading came. I was down in Benoose and I met some guys, Benoose, Ferraris, yachts, flash. And, these guys, got out of this car and I was like, what do you guys do? He says, oh, we're opening a trading floor in Gibraltar with traders. I'm like, I'm sold. How do I do that? And that was it. So that was literally it, just meeting someone. And then, I started on the kind of path of the Revco, another grad course, funnily enough, and did all my training in London. So I guess it was like I was one of the original prop traders. So, you got your screens, you got backed by, Revco. And that's how I got involved in trading.
Proper prop trading, not like
real deal stuff. Yeah, kind of like I said, 8 screens. You own your money, trading on TT, all the toys, Bloomberg, and very different world back then. I guess it was almost their interpretation of the turtle traders, although they didn't back you with, I guess, as much money. They didn't really give you any strategy either. It's just here's traders, they're all lunatics, make a lot of money.
And how did you get it? And did that go well, or?
What do you think? We were brilliant for the first 3 months, and then I blew the lot. Yeah, it was a baptism of fire, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, when your kind of only direction is to, use size. I was a DAX trader as well. So it's just kind of, you had to be,
Very big apps.
trade often, trade fast, trade big, trade hard, hit news. That's a long time ago. So that was kind of model, the kind of setup. But yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, for someone from Bolton, getting trained in London, trading on the floors there, then trading on the floors back in Gibraltar, it was great, but it was a steep learning curve. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot, mainly how to make money very quickly and not keep hold of it. So my life after that, kind of turned on its head. But yeah, I mean, I guess you're trading with someone else's money, so it didn't really matter.
And how did that change then? Is it from that point then you moved on to trade for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a dual edge kind of thing. I knew I could make money in trade, but I knew I didn't know enough. So the kind of course I was on taught you a lot about all the right kind of stuff, all the right kind of education, but it didn't teach you how to make money. So actually, when I because the deal with Revco is I had to pay 250,000 quid to buy myself out of the contract. So essentially, you've got to make 500,000. So I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. So it was kind of, that's just too much money for where I'm in my career. So I actually spoke to the guys and I got a job in the risk group. So I was actually risk managing traders. So that gave me a lot of insight into what a lot of the kind of really, really big traders were doing. And it was just kind of, an information gathering thing. Risk is a thankless task. Everyone's your best friend when you want to get your limits up. But when you tap them on the shoulder or give them a call, it's like, it's always bad news, mate. It's always bad news. So it's pretty a thankless task. But I mean, you got to see things that even, top traders don't get to see, how, a lot of traders trade simultaneously over data, over, kind of fundamental events, etc., etc. So again, another great piece of information. Yeah, I did that and then went back to London, read on the floors of Snyder's. And it's another thing about the trading world when you get involved in it. When people see value in you and you know your stuff, they want something from you. So I've come into to Snyder's, met the owner, Sonny Snyder. Like, yeah, I want to trade. I've got some capital. He's like, yeah, you seem like a good guy. My brother manages the floor and he's leaving, so I want you to do it. But I don't want to do that.
Wow.
Trade. It's like, we'll do it. I'll ask you 3 questions. Then he did me a magic trick. And he kept saying numbers. And he said, right, do it. So I ended up managing the floor at Snyder's for a year in London. Just through, basically rocking through the door and saying, yeah, I want to trade. And he's just like, no, I've got another plan for you. So anyway, that was great. Unlimited credit card, bringing, traders in. Stories, for another time, mate,
I can imagine, yeah. I'll fail here.
It does exist. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to go back to trading. So yes, after I decided that, I'd given and find a replacement for this guy, we went back to trading on the floor. And this is kind of, 4 or 5 years into a trading journey. So this is how long it takes, you know what I mean? Even at a kind of a pro level to kind of figure out what you want. And then to be honest, by the time I got what I wanted and I was doing okay, the floor had kind of lost its appeal. And I was kind of, that London life, I'd kind of done it. And I don't know, I wanted to kind of have a bit more time, freedom, didn't necessarily want to be commuting into London and be around those kind of people all the time. But as you know, trading's a personal thing, so I had money. And I decided I was going to trade, for myself. So set myself up a home office and I like to move around. As you know, I'm in New Zealand, not from New Zealand, obviously, I'm from Bolton. When at the time I was like Bolton and left, I've been a resident in about 6 different countries. So I like to move around. So I was never one of these guys that traded on the beach with his laptop, these idiots who see on Instagram. I had like an office in a place I lived. But that kind of gave me the balance of freedom of being able to kind of trade my own money, do other things, and kind of move around and be free. So it's always been a balance between time and money for me. My time is much more important than money. You have to have money to have the time. So again, I was still relatively young, still trying to figure out things, for myself. So nothing kind of really changed till I met the ball and chain and got married. And things get serious, don't they? Then you have to be much more money and also be a trader and have all them demons and things to deal with, but then have dogs, house, and kids.
I don't see any pads in the background. You're okay. No support.
I'm in the office. The dogs are in the other wing, so they'll be quiet for now until they see a pukeko or a rabbit. I'm rural, mate. I'm in the country, so I can see me gun here. I've got a little gun, so I'll take some of them out now and again. But yeah, it's a different life than.
You better kill the boredom somehow.
Well, that's it, mate. That's it. The trouble is they eat all my trees. feel like an old man now. The roots of your trees. I'm really interested in trees at the minute. It's sad, but that's what gives me pleasure at the minute. Jeez.
Sure. But tell me, right? So going back to the floor days, right? So
Yeah.
do you think that you got an edge from just that? Do you know, like retail traders really struggle for an edge, right? It's the biggest thing you find with any retail trader. They're probably chasing the wrong information, wrong people, learning the wrong information or whatever it is, right? And they just struggle to find an edge. Whether that's kind of paralysis by too much analysis or just can't find entries or whatever it is, right? People struggle. All retail traders struggle with this. But do you think that from that trading environment that you had, and firstly, would that have been more fundamental, more technical, and with all that information that you gained, what kind of an edge do you feel that you had above and beyond maybe a potential retail trader getting into the game?
Good. Very good question. Very interesting. Okay, well, firstly, people always say when you're on the floor, like, what did you learn from the traders? Nothing. They don't tell you anything. They don't give away the secrets. Traders gossip, like talk about how much money they made. Not so keen on talking about the money they lost, but, everyone knows everything on the floor. Everyone's a little gossip. So when someone's had a good day, someone's had a bad day, You don't actually learn that much from other traders apart from what is possible. So it's more of a motivational side, more of a kind of, yes, it can be done. When you walk into Liverpool Street, you go up the escalators, you see the trading offices of Revco, you go into the basement. There's a quote from my book. It's a garage that could shame a sheik, mate. It's all true. The money is there to be made. So when I was trading with people like Andy Preston on the floor, Braveheart, and things like people making $1 million a day, I've seen that happen. So that was the motivation, the kind of edge that you have as a professional trader. And you're very right with this. Is you have direct market access. You have Bloomberg, you have Reuters, you have a Squawk, you have your CQG, you have your toys, and you have the risk team behind you that can stop you from blowing up. Very, very important. You don't have that as a retail trader. So there is a huge amount of edge. And it's really why I wrote my last book, The Pro Retail Trader, saying that you can have the mindset or some elements of being a pro, but physically you can't trade like a pro. Your edge of being on the floor is right. You're right. Being immersed in that, kind of pack mentality. Where information is readily available. It was fastest finger first. That's why you get your big clips off on news announcements. Many big news announcements have been my biggest trades. Some have lasted, for seconds and minutes. And that's the whole point of being sat in that environment. That when something happens, you're the first to capitalize on it, and you know what to do. So that is the advantage of the pro setup, the pro floor. Is that the same these days? I don't know. You don't have the big floors like you did. There were lots of satellite floors, solar floors. But when I was at Liverpool Street, I think, we're getting going 20 odd years ago, I think there were 200 traders. When I managed Snyder's, I think there was 140 traders. Nowhere near as big as it was now. So that edge, maybe it's gone. Maybe
There's still some big floors out there.
From home. There's still some big floors. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, bringing people through that system of like the kind of the grads total trader side situation. Don't think that happens so much. If you get involved in the floors these days, you need to know someone. You need to be in the city, you need to know a trader.
Yeah. I mean, the prop access is still there for kind of, but they're looking for these really top tier guys. Top, doesn't matter if they're top sports people or top at whatever their game, and they and people don't realize they're going down that route. It can go two ways for you. Like, it's not an easy route. I mean, you're trading on demos for a long time. When you do finally get let off the chain, it's a cutthroat environment, that kind of way. So look, like you say, the people, they do have access though to the best toys, the best news information, best access to data. They're getting data fast, and that's key, right? So you said you trade a lot on, and same with prop firms. They're trading kind of news events, small moves or big moves or whatever the case may be, but they're on it. Now, I want to talk to you about this in a minute, but you talk about 80-20 now, whereas like 80% technical, 20% fundamental, right? How did that change from what you're doing on the floor to taking that process now?
That's a kind of 10-year gap between not just trading on the floor, but, trading retail for myself, etc. That, we're immersed in news now. It's almost like some Stockholm syndrome with news. Or we hate to read the news, but we're obsessed by it. They made some points in the book that big players used to make the news like, for the big trades, like, the Soros, crash the pen, etc. But I think, much more, and you're seeing this right now with Trump and the Magnificent Seven, anyone involved in the markets now can make markets move just like that. So it's 50-50. Trump can come out and say anything he wants, and then minute of the day, stock market can sell off in the morning, then rebounds in the afternoon. So you're seeing news that's driven purely by nothing. Taco trades. So it just wasn't like that. Your access to information first, you were the first hearing it. But I'm talking about days of, Jean-Claude Trichet and, kind of Bloomberg, before there was Twitter, where, that news, something's happened in this company or this country.
Or also
something's happened with these. Yeah, proper fundamentals. Whereas now, is it real fundamentals? Or is it just, the sentiment? Yeah, exactly. It's just the whim of who wants to say and for what reason, Elon Musk was seen, manipulating his share price, slap on the wrist. He can't be, the chairman of his own company or whatever. Gets demoted, but still the richest man in the world. People could move Bitcoin like that. People could move the indices like that. Move the dollar. We're talking about, trillions of dollars every day. And you don't think Trump's got a team of, Kushner clones behind him, all sat in their terminals. Oh, what's Dad gonna say this time? Oh, Dad. Sell. Oh, Dad, you've tacoed. Buy. I mean, you see it on the chart, see it on the screens. I'm sorry. It's not conspiracy theory. When you've watched charts for 20 odd years, like I have, you can see it. But I mean, the amount of confidence and risk you have to take to believe that you're right, that that's happening, is even harder. If you hear like, the 9/11's happened, that's easy. Buy, gold, sell stocks. But someone comes out and says, oh, 100% tariff on China. Only joking. What real commitment can you have in that? Because, you've just got to follow the market. And that's why, yes, I'd have made a lot more money this year if I'd traded smaller and was, more trend following, maybe swing trading or just kind of holding. But I'm still in and out, because I can only trust the market to myself so much. And that's true day trading to me. As I've told you before, we got to know, my quickest trade this month has been 12 seconds. So, $5,000 in 12 seconds. That is pro level. Doesn't matter what you say. And that's on a retail platform. But that's in, that's out. But the thing is, that could have been 10, 15, 20 grand. But that could have been just as easy, 10, 15 grand offside. So the amount of risk rewards you take with the jumps in spreads and volatility is huge. So I just take money off the table when I can. It's the right time thing. It's just where I am. I'm not chasing the big win. The big win will be around the corner in these markets. There will be some sort of dramatic correction in something. The fundamentals are out the window now. Trump's just said he's not going to backstop AI. I've no idea what AI even is. I've no idea what these data centers are. I don't want them. I don't think anyone wants them, but we ended up keep paying for them. But, all this kind of, incestuous, or we're going to buy from Nvidia, we're going to sell it to that. I'm not saying it's a Ponzi, but it pretty much looks like a Ponzi to me. But the aim of the stock market, again, it's not to correct and crash like 1929. It's just to basically drain the Fed's exposure. So market can drop 200-300 points. They can get out, retail or whoever buys it back. They can keep doing that until they've got money off the books. That's what I see it is. And when the correction comes, I think we'll just take them down to the market's down to a level, or we'll just kind of stagnate for maybe 5-10 years. Well, all investors are getting day trader results. That can't carry on forever. You know what I mean? It's like you put something in, a deposit account, you might get, if you're lucky, 5%. But what, you're looking to get 100% returns a year of your Nvidia shares. This is sustainable. Everyone knows this isn't sustainable. So when the correction comes, people will just lose that ability, to make money. And Trump's very interesting because he sees no downside to the stock market being high. And I guess for people like that, the billionaires, there is none. You take all that productive money out of the economy, and you've got this two-tiered economy, so jobs don't matter to the stock market anymore. No, consumers don't matter to the stock market anymore. We have 10% of America doing very well because they invested in property and stocks. And the rest, relying on food stamps and just getting by paying the mortgage. That's fine. If that's how you want to run an economy and see it, that's fine. But it can't continue forever. So something will correct, and it might not be the way anyone necessarily thinks. But again, that's the trouble of looking at that bigger picture stuff and doing the 50% fundamentals and technicals. Is that much use to a day trader? not particularly, really. You just got to be in and out of the action. That's more for your swing traders, day traders, investors.
Like, I really agree. I mean, for me personally, I've been trading for a long time now. But one of my biggest traits is like how I can read a market in terms of bias, right? And for me, it's like all about bias. Then I'm going to my charts. Then I'm looking for my technicals. Then I'm looking for my entries, and that's just how I work. And
Yep.
you have that confidence in your belief in your bias, number one. But then you're getting your entries right, letting that trade come to you, getting that right setup, and then executing. But now that's got harder than ever. So I'm relying more on technicals now than I ever did before, because it's just like you can't rely on the data, and the sentiment is shifting at such a high pace that you can't keep up with it. I mean, like you can't keep shifting your bias every single day, on the back of something new. And that's the hardest thing I'm finding.
Everything's completely new all the time. And I think that's the whole point of this whole distraction and, kind of influx of information. You can't trust anybody, it doesn't seem, and it's very hard to trust yourself. So, I mean, here's a question. How long do you hold your trades for?
Me personally,
Dave?
I'm a day trader. I've always been a day trader. I just don't like leaving trades overnight, personally.
Well, I mean, you're talking like 15 minutes, hours,
Honestly, I wouldn't scalp the market so much, and it really depends. Like, I really rely on my success rate. I have a really good success rate, so I'm not as involved in my risk reward or certain things that maybe people are just have these rule based and they stick to that. I'm absolutely rule based trader in lots of ways, but in terms of where I'm taking my profits, it's based upon how that market is reacting at that time. Do you know, that kind of way? I'll have a target, but if that's not hitting that target, I'll pull out. Do you know, that kind of way? So that's just how I trade. And I like starting fresh. I like having a fresh canvas. I don't like holding trades that are annoying me from yesterday. I get to start fresh every day. That's just personally how I prefer to trade, because if you hold trades, I find for longer, a couple of days, and you've got a couple of trades going against you, you're fighting them losses the next day, and that's just how that's my mentality anyway. That's how I try to, like, I'm not attached to my trading at all. Like, I'm very much just objective. I'm taking a trade. I've got my strategy. This is how it's going to play out. You have a good day, you have a bad day. Simple. Like I said, you rely on the fact that you've done this for a long time, you know your stuff, and it pans out. Do you know, that kind of way?
Yeah. Exactly, and you're exactly right. And this is where, traders and the pro traders, the retail traders kind of get, kind of confused about trading. It's all about how it makes you feel. The market's going to do what it wants regardless of you, irrelevant. I can move a book of my broker slightly, but I can't move the market. But that isn't what it's all about. It's being in, being out for the time period that suits you, how it suits, your kind of lifestyle, how it can suit, your trading mentality. And, there are no set rules of how to make money. So, someone could be a swing trader, hold it for 3 days and make money. Someone could be a scalper, with a bit more size and make the same money, in minutes or hours. So it doesn't matter. I think this is the problem we've got to be trading now, is that people are searching for these answers. And I get this all the time. People, that want me to mentor them. It's like, well, I've read 20 books on trading. I spent, 10 years on a demo. It's just, well, where's that got you?
Yeah.
Well, what have
You got to, yeah.
And then the markets have changed. It's like, well, this is why, sim trading and, kind of all these things that aren't real lull you into a false sense of security. This is what you're right. A blank slate every day. Every time I open my screen, it's because I'm going to trade. So I purposely don't have my screens on all the time. I don't sit in front of the screens all the time, because you'll always find something to jump in. And when you have big accounts, 10, 50 lots on that, maybe nick a couple of grand. No, I don't. I have predetermined levels I've got to get involved in, determine news events, that I might be interested in. I check levels and I check, kind of charts. Yeah, I'm on the phone, to be honest, every half an hour, every hour. So I'm in the house all the time. I've got my home office. And when I see something's approaching, put the screen on. And that's when I have the opportunity to trade. If I see the trade, I trade it. If I don't, turn the screens off, go away. Because my days are sitting in front of a screen for 10 hours. That's a different time. That's a different part of my life. I only trade to make money. I only trade when there's something there. I don't trade for fun. I don't trade for enjoyment. I trade for money. But then that's where I'm in my trading journey.
But you're a scalper, and you put real weight behind your trades. And like, when you're putting that much weight behind a trade and you're scalping that market, obviously, tell me how you go about entering a trade, number one. Number two is, Do you have a profit level target you're going after? How, when you're going into scalping territory, that information that you're getting is, that data is probably not as good as maybe the slightly longer time frame, where you can actually see more things happen in the market and it play out. Them scalping moves can happen so quickly and move in the wrong direction, but not that you're wrong in that trade, but just how that market is just being manipulated at that one time. How do you actually, what's your strategy? Is it fibs? What do you work with?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, yeah, I've been a big promoter of fibs for a long time. So the thing is, you're exactly right. I can trade a move and I can be in and out in a couple of minutes, and that can be in the trend. And that move doesn't even exist. You don't even see the sell because it's been bought back up and it's here.
Mm.
So I do a lot of sells, a lot, especially in gold and things like that. It's like, well, gold's gone up, but it's double, Steve. You should just put all your money in gold. Yeah, I know. That's got the way I trade. I'm not an investor. I'm a trader. The investing side, I get somebody else to do it. I don't invest. I'm not good at long-term stuff. I'm not good at long-term trading over a day. I'm just not. So when it comes to how you generate your income, I have to stick to what I know, which is short-term trading. So when you're looking for a move like a fib, I'm looking for overextensions. I'm looking for pain in the market. So market to move very, very quickly, hit levels. So generally, if you see a big red candle or a big green candle, I'm doing the opposite. But I'm putting size into it, knowing that someone's going to profit take, and I've got to be quick to get out before the move continues. And people don't like this. People don't understand it. It's like, we should have just bought it and hold. I should have just sold it and hold. Well, that's a different trade. I have 3 trade types. The first trade type is a scalp. So it's a fade scalp. So when you see these big moves, I'll be big and aggressive. And it's like reverse iceberging. So I'll put more size into a trade, knowing it's going to come back. And that's the quickest way to make big scalps in day trading, in very short trading. And like I said, I've made tens of thousands in minutes. But you can't do it very often. And you have to know your markets that you're trading. I only trade 8 markets and all their personalities and all the fundamentals and technicals behind it. And, you can't just do that 50 times a day. That's just the odds are against you. But when you see them, you can make that big, quick money quick. But it doesn't happen that often. So when you're looking for more of an average trade, in March, but up to a couple of hours, you trade in a different way. You scale in a different way. I always scale into trades. I don't just put a amount of, size into your entry and have a target and a stop. So if I'm going with the market, I'll average in the same size. So like maybe 10 lot, 10 lot, 10 lot, 10 lot. Let the market does what it needs to do and then hold on. It's a time thing. But that for me is counterintuitive because I see it go on side. I'm like, take the money, Steve. Take the money, Steve. Back. Take the money, Steve. No, because that's a different kind of trade. It's not a scalp. I'm not looking to take the top amount of profit that I've seen in the P&L before it goes. Because, when you're trading my kind of size, when you're thousands on side, doesn't matter when you're trading micro lots and you're quid on side. Doesn't matter if you're 10 quid on side. But if you're 5 grand on side, you're going to take it because that's meaningful money, right? So when you're doing an average trade over maybe, an hour or a couple of hours, then you need to see that trade progress. It will go, it will come back, it will go, it will come back. And yes, you make more money, but you do it on less size. And then the day trade, which is never longer than 8 hours, that's when you do put size into the trade, but then you've got to let it get past the average trade. And you basically look for a limit up, limit down day.
Yep.
So it all revolves around time. And I don't like sitting in front of the screens for 8 hours, not because I'm lazy. I just know I'm the worst person for that. And yes, you could technically put a stop and a take profit. But again, that's not how I trade. I don't use stops and I don't use take profits. I will sit in front of the screen and I will determine what the risk on that trade is based on my account and trading and what my profit will be. So that's it for the 3 types of trade. You're either in very quick, take maximum pain, maximum pain because you're averaging bigger size and then take the profit, or you're just wrong and out, or you average, get on side, maybe get the profit and it comes back. You've lost all your profit. There you go. You're out. No harm, no foul. Then it does exactly what you think. Oh, well, never mind. Or it goes and does exactly what you think. And you do the day trade, which is very infrequent for me, based on maybe sentiment, change, technical change, whatever. And, that's when you make, relatively big days. But they're the trades I least like doing, but are probably the most sensible trades. But what I do is I tend to build up scalps and then I can take a day trade, which, I like doing less. because I've got more money, kind of to back it up. So, you don't mind taking maybe a bit more of that time risk because you bank your scalps. Now, I wish I could scalp, and I've tried all the algos, I've tried all your EAs and that kind of stuff. Don't work. I wish I had some magic, AI formula that could scalp like me 24/7 and, I didn't have to do anything. Doesn't work. So while the markets are the way they are and so volatile, I see a lot more value in being in and out of the markets quick with size than I do watching for these big, moves and reversals. And maybe if I did and I made more money, I don't know. As I say, my rules are based around my trades, where I'm in my life. I've been doing this a long time. So, if I can nick 5-10 grand in a day, I ain't that bothered. I don't need to be making, the 6-7 grand, 6-7 figures, sorry, a month. I'm just.
What about the other side of that?
Do
you know, like you're saying, if you can nick 5-6 grand, and absolutely, right? That's it. That's a good day, But on the other side of that is, when you're weighting in that heavy into these trades and scalping, and maybe you have, do you have max capital outlay in terms of how much you'll take per trade, or how much a loss you'll take in a day? A big thanks to our sponsor, Forex.com, for supporting this show and keeping it free for all of you. One feature I think a lot of traders will love is that you can actually link your Forex.com account directly into TradingView. So instead of bouncing between platforms, you can analyze a chart, spot the setup, and place the trade right there. Another tool I really rate is their performance analytics. It doesn't just tell you your wins and your losses. It shows you patterns, like what time of day you tend to trade best, or which strategies are really working for you. That kind of feedback can make a huge difference over the long run. We're able to keep putting on these episodes every week thanks to partners like Forex.com. And if you're looking for a broker with strong tools and integrations, they're definitely worth a look. Just a reminder, trading Forex and CFDs carries a risk and is not suitable for everyone, so always trade responsibly. If you want to check them out, there's a link in the description.
Yeah, 100%. I only work in monetary terms. Yeah, I've got yellow side. I've been smacked a load of time, mate. I've been wiped out. I've been the wrong side of a day trade, the wrong side of a scalp. And yeah, trading without stops is difficult. You have to have the discipline. You physically can't trade a scalping strategy with a stop. You just can't. Not the way I do it. It's possible. So that's the risk that comes with it. An average in a day trade, you can put a stop in. But yes, as I say, I watch it in that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess in answer to your question, it's all monetary terms for me. I know what I can risk. And I guess it does come down to percentage of capital in a roundabout way. I will risk X amount of thousands to make thousands. But the trouble is, because I've been doing it for 20 years and, the kind of, I do mainly scalping, is I'm not tied to kind of like 1% per trade. Okay? It depends what I've done in the past. If I'm trading a period of drawdown, I will just take money. Okay, I'll just take green money when it's offered. I'll chip away and then get back, and then you get back to how you want to trade. So, and I also trade multiple accounts because it's like you've been bad. You endure drawdown, you've been bad. You get all the negative connotations. Oh, shall I do a big trade to get that money back? No, trade another account where you may be up, and then you trade, a day trade, an average trade, or do some scalps. Then it's just like, right, well, that's good. I'll go back to this one. Just take money, get it back to flat, and then you can go back. People put too much emphasis on like, oh, it's my capital. Oh, that's all I've got. I've done one bad trade. And then they start chasing. Then they start over leveraging. Then they start doing all the mistakes that every, podcaster, every, webinar presenter, every writer of a book says you shouldn't do. And you end up doing it because you're just human. And then, you do it enough times, then you stop doing it. And you find your own way of getting around those things. So I only talk in money terms. I don't like talking in the terms of risk-reward ratio. I could get my Sharp ratio up with all my stats on my FX book and that kind of stuff. I've done the back end. I've done the front end. I've done it long enough. I know when I'm trading well. I know when I'm trading badly. So for me, it's all about, where I am in that particular account, where I am in my particular point in needing or wanting money. And I go into the markets when I see my, whatever people love to call it. And I get in, I take the money, and I get out. And that really is, what kind of I've been doing over the last kind of 10 years. And what I kind of tried to put in the book, that there's a difference between, the kind of the retail and pro trader kind of mindset. And, the retail traders think the more time and effort you put in, the more you're going to be rewarded. It just isn't the case. It's doing the right thing at the right time that's right for you. Being in with size, or being, in with a correct stop, leaving your trade, to progress for the amount of time that it needs to, kind of present you with the profits you want. I think a lot of traders, get snow blindness with learning technical analysis, fundamental analysis. You know too much, and then it contradicts itself. You don't really know where you stand. Mostly it comes down to learning who you are as a trader and understanding who you are as a personality, how that interacts with the markets. But people don't want to do that because very few people can tell you how to do that. The only thing that can tell you how to do that is being in and out of the markets and trading.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Making losses,
skin in the game, exactly.
Making mistakes, and seeing how you deal with winners. Winners could be just as destructive as losers. A loss, getting back a loss, will always determine the long-term success of a trader more than how you deal with a win. But again, I've interviewed over the years on the other side of what I do. Some big traders. And guys that have made $1 million in a day and then gone on to lose everything and had to drive Uber. There's no. I know more traders than most people, and there's not one of them that that haven't broken the rules, made a mistake. But I tell you what, there's not one pro trader or real trader I've met that has had the big win. So this is what retail are missing. Got to be consistent. Got to keep your risk down. They say, you make your wins, but they're still confined to the parameters of your risk. Then you get the kind of the Bitcoiners or the meme coiners, or you kind of, what do I call them? These kind of stocks that will just 10x. And they start talking in this stupid language that makes them sound like children. It's just like, whatever, guys. It's just like money makes money. And the reason why most traders fail is because undercapitalized. Or they go to these prop challenges, and then, you have to trade in a completely different way. Then you make the money, or you've overgone your risk. We're not going to pay you out. I mean, there's no free money. There's no easy ride. And that's what's difficult for people. You invest in yourself, and invariably, as a retail trader, you're going to get blown up a couple of times before you get it. So, and the problem
unfortunately, that's part of the process.
It's part of the process.
It is part of the process, and it doesn't matter how many people. Like, honestly, it blows this industry. I love this industry, and I hate this industry. I love this industry because it's what I do day to day. It's what I love. But the other side of that industry, I hate. I hate the fact that there's not all this bullshit out there with all these people telling people they're going to make money, or pretending they're somewhat of a guru or whatever the case may be. But more so just the fact that it's like, how long is this going to go on before people actually start realizing that it's all fucking nonsense? John Akinaway, you have to have something about you. You have to have, put some effort in and learn the basics. Like you said, feel the pain. Learn from somebody who knows what they're doing, who's been there, done it, seen it, and has some experience in the seat. Has the hours behind them. Not some guy in his Lamborghini that is just rented and is telling you to copy his signals. This is the kind of the bullshit that people will never learn, and they will continue to get scammed, and they'll continue to lose their money. But it's for me, it's just like, Jesus Christ, like, is there a tipping point with this? Learn from the right person, start making some money trading. Like I said, get your skin in the game. Even if you start small, just start small. On the basis that
start real. Mm-hmm. Then it's real. It makes you feel something. And then, because everyone says like, you just scale up. I do this with this, and then I scale it with this. It doesn't. When you've got 1,000 lots on, mate, and you're 10 pips offside, mate, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't. Doesn't matter what everyone says. Yeah. And you're so right at what you said. You have to have something about you. The way I categorize it is you've got to have a version of it. We've all met people that have it. You don't know what the fuck it is, but they have it. I've met billionaires. I've met, hedge fund guys. I've met, chairmans of like some of the biggest companies. To some degree, they've got it. I don't have it. I can have some banter. I've had to create my own it. I wasn't born into money. I don't have like any delusion of grandeur. Whatever I had to cultivate my it from was belief that I could do it. And it took plenty of time to get smashed down and to learn the ropes and have the big days, and have the big losses, and then just kind of like creep along. And then, your it comes, your confidence comes. And, my goal was always, from what I'd seen on the floors, the guys that could just scalp 1,000 lots, bang, 10,000 buns. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's what I saw. Not just on the floors, from behind the scenes. And that's what I always aspired to be. And I never got there. I never got to be the big boy, but I'm all right. Compared to retail, yeah, I am the big boy in retail, but I never got to be where I thought I was going to be. I never got to be the top of where, I thought I could be. And you have to live with that, and that's just part of trading, part of life. It's like, pick up a set of golf clubs. Oh, you got a set of, like latest golf clubs. You're going to be Tiger Woods. It's like, you don't want to be Tiger Woods, man. You're lucky to like get around in par, even if you play every week. It's all about managing expectations and being real. I think that was the hardest part of trading for me, was that, okay, I know I'm a relatively smart guy. I know I can understand technicals, fundamentals. I keep a lot in this crazy old brain of mine, but that doesn't always translate to making the big money.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You have to be realistic with your ability, realistic to what you can do with your capital, and realistic what you want out of the markets. And again, after all the years of doing it, I traded kind of, I guess, more money for time. So week in, week out, I know where I stand. Year in, year out, after 20 years, I know what I can kind of make. I'm happy with that. I don't have to chase, as I say, the kind of these extreme wins. And therefore, I don't have to take on, too many kind of downside losses. And that's really kind of just where you have to get as a trader. But that's 20 odd years. You know what I mean? Someone comes in and expect to go through these roller coaster of 20 years in a year. The market conditions might suit your personality for a year, then the next year make your clip completely different. So, your profitability could be like that to that, to that, to that, to that. Nobody does that. Everyone wishes that was the way. The perfect equity curve. It doesn't. You're going to have good years and bad years, just like being self-employed, just like running a business. You don't always get it your way. And for me, markets right now, they do favor the kind of more aggressive trader, because even the smaller moves have momentum and speed behind them. So if you're on the right side of it, you're right. But also ultimately, if you're trying to pick bottoms, you get smelly fingers. If you're trying to look for some of these bounces, you're going to get hammered. There's plenty of dip buyers that have been obliterated. I mean, again, look at the Bitcoin, for example. When it dropped from 106, down to just below where I predicted 97. That's billions liquidated. I'm not anti-Bitcoin. I'm just saying that, the whole financial system that's been around forever isn't going to let a few guys with Bitcoin be the only winners. The world doesn't work that way, mate. Buy a Bitcoin, sit in it. That's fine. You want to build a position on a retail platform with Bitcoin, just burn your money now. The moves are too volatile. Stop on it.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that you said there, like, that sticks with me, like I've lucky enough to know a lot of institutional traders, and that's what really helped me, especially in my earlier days of understanding how to trade the financial markets. And it's not understanding 10 different technicals or understanding, like, it for me, it's like from what from the very early stage of learning from these guys, it's like, just keep it simple. The simpler you keep it, the more success you're going to have. Is simple, and detach yourself from the trade and trade with confidence. Understand what you're trading. Make sure your entries are in the right areas, and just trade it. And don't care about it.
Simple, repetitive. All my stuff now is muscle memory. That's all it really is. Do I click once or do I click 6 times? Click, click. Well, Steve, you look like a lunatic. No, just putting more size into the trade. Oh, I don't understand it. But it's come down. Click, close all. But that's traded. Yeah, that's trading. It's easy as that. But you don't see all the stuff that's gone in the background. All the sleepless nights you have. All this, like, I don't understand it. Why is it not working? All the mental anguish. They just like, you click a button and you make more than in a month. It's just like, yeah, but I don't do it all the time. And it's took a long time to do it. There's no such thing as free and easy money. And this is the kind of frustration I get. Especially when I try and mentor people. It's like, it's like, show me what you do, Steve. It's just like, I want to learn. It's like, yes, I will show you, but you have to understand why you're doing it, what makes you tick. Take ownership of what you do. And, institutional traders, they don't scalp as much, you know how they trade, but it doesn't matter to them. They get paid a hefty salary. They can sit and read the paper all day until they see there's something. The problem with the retail trade, and that's what was difficult with the prop trading when I started. your desk fees were $3.5, grand a month. You don't get paid.
Yeah.
So it's just like, all right, I'll just take a year, pay you, an 80-20 split, and pay a desk fee, and pay for life as well. It's like when you're 20 odd years old, it's like, I've got a trust fund behind me. It's just like, anyone go buy me a pint? You know, so it's that element of time. And I see that a lot with retail traders. It's like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm like, don't quit your job. It's just like, oh, I've got 10 grand in the bank. 10 grand is not enough. It's like, if you're going to rely on your income for that, mate, you know, you're going to need, a bigger base or a richer wife or, something like that. The stress you put on yourself, it's to make money and then withdraw it. There's a lot. There's a lot against retail traders. There's a lot against retail traders. And I say this in my book, and I haven't sold as many copies as people that tell you can win and you're gonna be rich. I don't give a fuck. I don't need the money. So I just was brutally honest and say that you will never be a pro trader. Your chance of being a pro trader are very, very slim. Just the barrier to entry. But you can make money as a retail trader with elements and aspects of being a pro. But you won't trade direct market access. You won't have all the toys, but therefore you won't have the costs. You will be able to trade real retail. I have proved you can make big money in retail and you can make it extremely quickly, but you'll need capital and it will take time for you to have the confidence to press that button and to be in and out in that kind of speed. Will obviously, depend on the style of trading you choose, but it is possible. But again, I'm not selling anything, not even selling the books. Don't care less. I made a book. Fuck Jeff Bezos. Well, literally, mate. The algorithm's changed now. So, like, my book's on sale for like eight quid. It's like by the time you've been robbed by the publisher, it's just like it isn't worth taking the royalties. Just don't bother. So I might just give it away for free. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't care. I really don't care about stuff. I do things as I want to do it, and I say things and be interviewed because I want to be interviewed. I want to still have some relevance and skin in the game. Someone told me last week I used to be a somebody. I'm like, fuck you, used to be a somebody. It's like, I don't put videos out anymore because I can't be fucking arsed. I've done years of that. Like, that's all I had to give. So, like, I'll do interviews because, like, it's real time. It's how I'm thinking right now. I like to interview some of the traders because I can, I like doing it. I've got to film a day somewhere when I'm making $5,000 in 12 seconds. You know what I mean? What else am I going to do? Used to be a somebody. You know what I mean? It's just kind of just because you're doing things every day. And it's like, I think Bitcoin's going to do this. Oh, yeah. I'll take a picture of my Porsche. It's just like, I'm just as sick of the industry as you are. I don't like putting things out unless I've got something to say or something that's new and original. But I think we've got to that point where everything's just been recycled. And, fuck knows what AI is going to do to the world now. We're just going to be cycled with pretty blondes and flying unicorns, isn't it? It's just the same crap regurgitated. I like to talk about things that are real, things that are current. And I think right now that, the markets are extremely current. They're completely reactive to big players in the market in terms of news. You can follow the news or completely reverse the news. That's your swing trading. But essentially, you're just trading news. If you think you're trading technically, but anyway, that's my opinion. That's my thought. In and out, or find the bottom, find the top. However you want to make money, that's down to you. But these are unprecedented kind of markets for me, for the speed and velocity. So if you're right, ride them a little bit longer. If you're wrong, you still would have cut them just as quick. There's no margin for being a hero. Just because I can average into big positions, every time I know I'm doing it, I know I have to be right. Because I knew,
but you got the balls to do it, and that's the
tools you're going to do it. Yeah, I mean you do, man. Because if you're wrong, you're wrong, and that's it. There's so little, I think, margin for error. Kind of doing what I do at the minute. So yes, I just don't do it very often. I maybe go 5 or 6 times a week. I do like a position. Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it. I mean, I could go down to smaller size and be in and out, but where I am right now in my life, I don't want to. I don't want to spend any more. I've got enough ability and confidence in myself to be in and out with what I think my time's worth. I don't want to go back to trading more frequently with smaller size just to make the same money because that's good doing these conditions. I'd rather just trade less. That's just where I am. Maybe in the future or maybe next month I might cut size down and trade smaller. I don't know. It changes what I need out of the markets, what I need from my time. And I guess how I'm in my life right now is what my purpose is. This is what I'm kind of struggling with. What's my purpose?
What is it?
What is my purpose? I don't know. You tell me. Because just making money isn't that interesting anymore. Making money is just making money now. That's why I wrote the book, because I had lots of things to say. Lots of things about climate change. Put your tinfoil hat on. Yeah, fuckers, I'm right. Yeah. Why do you think I'm in New Zealand? Yeah, he'll come here too. But I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from desert islands where don't matter. I'll go and hang around my golden trinkets, mate. I'll go and barter shells. Very careful where you got your citizenship. Be very careful where you got your residencies. Be very careful where you keep your money. Because you think when the end comes, your Bitcoin's going to save you, your gold bars are going to save you. It's not, mate. It's who you know and guns.
World's gone crazy. It really has.
Pretty fucked, mate. I can't. You know, it's just this totalitarianism slash with forced socialism. No, I'm not a political guy, mate. I've never voted because they're all wankers. I've always known the wankers. I don't care. I've never been poor enough to claim anything. Never been rich enough to need, the government to swing things in my direction. I just want to be left alone. That's all I want to do. I earn my money. I pay my tax. Leave me alone. Don't get involved with my life. Don't tell me what to do. I don't like being told what to do. So that's why trading was hard, because the markets will tell you what to do and says when you're wrong. So yeah, it's been a lot, like I said, that's come back to your personality, where you see yourself, where, you put your value on yourself, where you put your value on your ability. And it is all personal. Once you've got past, learning about Fibonacci, Elliott, once you got past all that, it's relatively simple stuff. When you understand how you interact with the levels, how you interact with the markets, how you interact with tolerance to risk and, appetite for the upside. Because this is why I get so frustrated with retail traders. They focus so much on the downside. Oh, they take care of, the losses. The winners will take care of themselves, right? Pros say that. All the biggest traders say that because they have big wins. All retail traders have a series of small wins, a series of small losses, then a big loss. They never seem to have that big win. Or if they do, think it's a fluke, they think it's luck, and then they fuck it all up and they lose it. Okay? The money is out there. You just have to believe it is. This is something, when I talk to people, I say, well, what have you done this size with this trade? Or held it to this level? It's like, yeah, but my risk reward is this. It's like, well, yeah, risking. What's your reward? Yeah. I know, it is hard. It is hard. It's only when you've been through it. And most things I say are just repetition. I've said the same thing, a different way to people over and over again because there isn't anything new in trading. We're afraid there isn't. People can tout AI or their latest news scanning, blah, blah, blah. Oh, bollocks, mate. It's you against the markets. It's you with your mouse. It's you being in and out, So anyone who's trying to sell you a course, sell you something new, be skeptical, I'd say. Read books, read people who have been doing it for a long time, for sure. But yeah, the best advice is get live quick, get live with money you don't want to lose. Everyone says trade with money you can afford to lose. You're already going to set yourself up to lose it. Trade in money you don't want to lose. Yeah? Make yourself accountable to someone. Maybe a family member, maybe a mentor. I've dealt with people that could chuck 100 grand in an account. They could do that 10 times. It'd never even touch them. Well, then they get scared. It's like, well, I don't care about losing the money. I don't want to do anything because I don't want to make the money because I don't need it. Then you got the people that really need the money, then can't trade because they need the money to live off. So there's a very small window of people, retail and pro, that go like, no, I'm here to make money and that's all I do, make money. When I've made my money, I go and do something else. So to get to that point, there's a battle between you as a person, you in your life, and you as a trader.
I couldn't agree more. And that's the biggest thing, right? It's putting together the type of person you are. No two people are going to be able to trade the same way. So you're going to be more risk. I'm going to be more risk averse than you're going to be, by the sounds of it, on the basis of how you trade the financial markets. I mean, like you're looking for small moves, massive gains, right? And that's just how you trade. Now, I wouldn't have the balls to be able to trade the weight that you're trading. Now, I'd trade decent weight, but not anywhere near what you're trading. And to be able to do that and to be able to have the confidence in that trade, and to be able to see something going that heavy against you, it's just not for me. Do you know what I mean? Because, but for you, it's perfect for you. Do you know that kind of way? And that's the beauty of trading. That kind of way. What works for someone will work, maybe won't work for somebody else. Do you know what I mean?
It's not to say I'm right. It's not to say anyone else is wrong. It's would I want to trade a different way? Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to be a different person sometimes in my head. I'd love to be, but I'm not. And you can force yourself to be happy watching a trade with one lot for 8 hours to make 300 quid. Or you can do that in a minute. It's whatever. I was taught or brought into trading in a certain way, and I wasn't really able to shake it. I know everything that's going to happen in the world, maybe. Maybe I would be a great investor, but I don't want to be. I want to be a trader. I don't want to be who I am. And I said, and I'm not the trader I want to be. I never got to the big size even I wanted to trade. But you have to accept who you are. And that's what I've done. I've accepted who I am.
Tell me, right? So for scalpers listening now, like, what's the key? What's the tipping point? Like, what's the absolute key that you think? What's the magic? What's that magic dust that's working for you? It must be something that gives you the edge.
It works in two ways. It's you're either doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. Okay, you're doing the exact opposite of what everyone else is doing, but you know you've only got a very, very, very small period of time in which you can get into that, and also, more importantly, get out. That's what's difficult on retail, because you've seen the swings on retail. You could be onside to offside in a nanoseconds. When people say don't look at your P&L when you're trading, you have to. That's your P&L. Remember, when you're trading retail, you're trading on a book. You're not even trading. You're trading simulated prices. You're not even trading, the market. So your P&L can go like that. So I'm not trying to play the broker or whatever. I just know I have enough size and enough ability to get size in and get it out quickly. And I'm doing the opposite, what most people are doing. I'm picking that exact point in time where everyone's like, yeah, we're right, it's going up. And I'm like, no, I'm going to take some profit here. Bang, in, out. And then the other one is when nothing's happening and you've got the right of the screen. And you're like, everyone thinks it's going to do that, don't they? Do that first. And then getting in, but again, with a different type of averaging strategy, just click, click, click. And when it goes, not expecting the full move and getting out. So that is scalping. Okay, you're not scalping. For me used to be bid and offer, leaning, bid and offer with orders. You're filled, you're in, you're out. Can't do that on a retail platform. And when you press big size, you get frightened, quickly. Because when you're trading 1,000 lots in gold, when you put your first 100 lot on, that costs a lot of money. And then you put some more in, that costs even more money. But you see 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 grand offside. Doesn't look much on the screen, looks a lot on your P&L. And as it comes back, as you know, that suddenly goes to profit. And you want to take it, because you've seen that. And it's like, no, you've been here before. That goes the other way. Bad, good this way. They're really good. But it's being able to experience that and experience it enough times to know that what was bad in terms of your P&L looks really, really bad. It looks really, really good very quickly. But having that size and the way, I understand that specific trade is that. So don't try and think that's your 100 grand trade. It isn't. It's that trade. It will yield this much profit. That's what you've done before. That's what that size in this market means. So it's knowing what all the market sizes are, which people don't know, what your lot sizes equate to, what a couple of pips on X amount of size does. Yeah, you have to know this stuff in your head, or have it on your screen. If you don't go, you're not ready for it. This is the thing that people don't understand. They don't invest enough time in them right kind of things of real life trading. If you start at point A and it goes to point B with your size, how much you're making? We should know that. And then you're in and you're out, because if you're trying to get too much out of the trade, you'll give your profit away. And then, then you turn it into another trade. It's always offside now. Well, I don't know. I'll just hold it longer. Well, there's a different trade now. The market's gone the opposite direction. Now you're going to get carted.
You're not
sure it's on the west. Oh, no, I didn't take the loss. I didn't. Oh, no. Now what? And again, when you're scalping and not using stops, which I don't recommend for anyone, use stops as a trader. When you're starting, you should do that, because it gives you the discipline and reality. Where I am when I'm scalping, I can't physically do it.
It's very hard to. You can't really use stops. I mean, like, at the end of the day, you're in front of the screen. You can press. You can close the trade immediately. Like, you're not going to scalp and then, okay, I'm going to pop off for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
True. And that's the discipline you have to have. So I don't leave any of my trades. Even the day trades. I don't leave them. I don't put stops in. And yes, people say like, oh, well, you just leave it and it gets stopped out. But something might happen. Someone might say something, and then you've given your entire profit away. I don't think you can just trade purely technically anymore. You're giving so much edge away. You're giving so much of potential profit, because the news will come in. It seems to be daily, if I'm being honest, or at least, a couple of times a week, a marking shift. So this idea that, you can just kind of keep trend following forever and keep all the money, if that's the way you trade, fine. I just right now, I think there's enough volume and volatility that makes scalping relatively attractive for people like me. And as I say, I'm not planning to change the way I trade.
If you can make it work, it's it's the best kind of strategy you can do, because if you can go to the markets, sit there, scalp for an hour, and that's it. You're done. See you later. You're not going to wait.
You have to have the conditions. No, you
Yeah.
can't force a scalp on a market. So when the markets are quiet, I'm looking for particular types of movement. I'm looking for particular points of, kind of retracements and breakouts. So I'm always at the edges of the market, or I'm in the middle of the market. But again, the middle of the market will always come with more time. The edges of the market for the snapbacks, that's where I'm looking for the retracements. And
what time frames?
I mean, I look on the hourlies, but I mean, I will be looking on the 15 minutes at some points, but I still trade the hourlies. I mean,
Even the scalping, yeah.
yeah. I mean, the levels are still the levels, don't they? I don't need to necessarily see what the minute chart, the 5-minute chart does. Not saying that sometimes, I won't break it down and just have, your 5-minute, 15-minute hour. But, I generally trade with all 8 markets together on the hourlies. And I just trade off the charts, because there are still some strong correlations between, kind of Bitcoin is actually a bit of a trigger for, the stocks, and, gold still has, kind of, its correlation with the dollar yen, and the euro is bouncing off, kind of what the dollar yen's doing. But again, that's all bigger picture stuff. I'm looking for something to shoot, something to move. And it's like, I might not be trading that market, but well, that goes. It might just be a little nick here. Then you're in, you're out. And, this is the whole point. We're not trying to get the entirety of the move, just trying to get, your 15, 20 pips. You can be in, you can be out. And you can do that a couple of times. Turn your screens off. Yes, I'm sure I could have made 10 times the amount of money by investing or holding trades in smaller size or whatever. As I say, going back to the original point, I know who I am as a trader. I know what I want to get out of my trading right now from my own perspective as a trader and the monetary side. And this is just how it is working for now. I think it's the best conditions for scalping that I've experienced in quite some time. And I don't want to jinx that in any way, touch wood, all that kind of stuff. I'd rather be in and out. I'd rather be in and out than be right on and get a 200 pip move. I feel.
Awesome. And just before we kind of wrap things up, is there any one thing that any one tip or any one thing that you think that can make the difference? Just one thing. Out of all the things, if you strip everything back, what's the one thing that maybe determines a good trader or a bad trader?
I think it's having the ability to be honest with yourself. It's to understand nothing lasts forever. You're not always right, and you're inevitably going to be wrong. And just being truthful with yourself that when, things go wrong, are you trader enough, man enough, kind of, press the button and get out? Because that's been my biggest thing, kind of expecting to be right because of experience or intelligence. Markets, just sometimes you're wrong. As you know, I've paid for that many times over by thinking, averaging or size can pull you out of bad positions. So it's just, for me, the best thing you could do as a trader is to be able to admit you're wrong and cut, and then just walk away or come back. The market will always be there. Don't revenge trade, even if it works. It's going to kill you in the long term. It's just that ability to be able to cut and walk away. And that's why I think, the pro traders have such an edge with having a risk group, because they have someone that can actually physically stop you out, have a chat to. You can't trade with your own money. No one's stopping you but you. That is my one pro retail tip.
Like you say, you got lots of time on your hands. You have a couple of books out already. What's next? Any projects?
No, there isn't any particular project next, to be honest. No, I mean,
your wife knows you only work for five minutes a day.
Don't tell us. No, but listen, that comes with its own problems. It's like, you're home all day. You should be doing this, doing that.
The grass needs cutting, yeah. No, working.
I've got a guy for that. No, yeah, for 20 years, it's just like I've worked hard all day. It's just like, yeah, well, I've worked hard for 20 years. Kind of this is the thing that people don't tell you about the other side of it. Yeah, trading has its problems with the relationships, and trading has its relationship problems with friends. They all want you to trade for them.
I never do it.
Trade for friends.
Never.
Teach me. You haven't got enough money. But, no, there's a lot of problems, and I don't tell people I'm a trader because it's boring. And it's just like, oh, what should I buy? I was like, oh, fuck it, buy Bitcoin, you muppet.
It's so true, isn't it? With
fucking assholes. It's just like, I'll be a trader. It's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, but what I do, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how much can I make? How much are you making? You know,
What's your tip? What's your next?
it's hard. I can't have this conversation again. Yeah.
Exactly, mate. See, creators a very lonely life, mate. Actually, and that's why I do stuff like this because it's a bit of banter. You're a good lad to talk to. Just get out, have a bit of a laugh. Just I don't know. I think I don't want to tell people that they should trade. In fact, I tell more and more people they shouldn't trade than I do tell them they should trade. Yeah. Because I look into someone's eyes on a Zoom call. I'm like, you ain't got it, mate. Go and play golf. Go do something fun with your time. This is going to eat you up. It's going to destroy you. I mean, I don't know. If I could have my time again, would I be a trader? I don't know. I like saying in the book, the only way I know to make money this quick is be a drug dealer. Well, too pretty for prison. Get passed around like currency, man. Where's that Northern monkey?
I think you took the right path anyway, buddy. And it's a shame you're so far away because I'd love to go for a pint, but there you go. Maybe one.
There we go, mate. Listen, if you ever this side of the world, we can arrange that easy.
Absolutely, mate. Steve, thanks so much for coming on, buddy. Guys, anyone who wants to see a bit more about Steve, what he does, all the links are in the bio. Make sure to check it out. All right, cheers, Steve. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
This episode is brought to you in partnership with Forex.com, a leading provider of online trading services. Remember, trading Forex and CFDs carries risk and isn't suitable for everyone.